Welcome back to One Hit Wonderland, where we take a look at bands and artists known for only one song. Don't Worry, Be Happy is a song of uncommon power.
Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to sing it note for note.
Power to do what is debatable. Okay, the year is 1988, and apparently things are absolutely great. Twins is in theaters, the national colors are day-glow, and the overfed yuppies of the world just want to enjoy some wine coolers and chill out. It's the 80s, baby! What's there to worry about besides AIDS, crack, and nuclear war? No, we're not in that 80s, we're in the fun 80s. Hairspray, beach resorts, Huey Lewis. And so, to truly capture the spirit of the times, a man named Bobby McFerrin came around and created a song so primal, so perfectly attuned to the lizard part of the brain that just wants to say, chillax, things are good, problems aren't real. A song so perfectly at peace that it quickly conquered the world.
Don't worry, be happy.
That song was Don't Worry, Be Happy. And in the fall of 1988, it launched all the way to #1. It is a song you don't forget. It's also an extremely polarizing song.
Be happy.
If you discovered it at age 5, you probably have at least some fond memories of it. Or if you were between the ages of 15 and 30 when it hit, there's a solid chance that this is your most hated song of all time. Poor guy just wrote a simple little song that he hoped would make people happy. And for a lot of people it did. For a lot of people it really did not. Where am I on this? Well, I'll decide that later. One thing we can all agree on is that Bobby McFerrin is the truest of one-hit wonders. If you've watched this show, you've probably noticed that nothing succeeds like success, so even the most obvious one-hitters will have the momentum to get at least a couple weeks of chart action for their second single. Bobby McFerrin is one of a small handful of artists who made it all the way to #1 and then never even scraped the bottom of the Hot 100 ever again. Even with a #1 hit, the general public did not worry about Bobby McFerrin and seemed to be happy not to think about him ever again. Where did you go, Bobby McFerrin? Were you simply too happy to be worried about making more music?
Don't worry, be happy.
Okay, let's start this off. Let me introduce you to one Robert McFerrin, Sr. This is the only footage I could find from well after his prime, but in the 50s and 60s, Robert Sr. was an extremely important classical musician. He was the first black man to sing at the Met. He did the singing parts for Sidney Poitier in the movie version of Porgy and Bess. So, looking at this guy's accomplishments, you might think his son is comparatively a disappointment. Like this guy's the Jackie Robinson of opera, and his kid wrote an annoying novelty song. It's like if legendary novelist Kurt Vonnegut had a kid that wrote bad jokes for Geico commercials. Right? No, not at all. Bobby is in fact just as accomplished as his father in many different genres. In fact, he started out not in classical or pop, but in jazz. And as a jazz vocalist, he is considered something of a virtuoso. Now you might be listening to this and thinking, well, this isn't Mariah or Pavarotti or anything. This can't be that hard. It's insanely hard. Like this switching up and down between 4 different octaves, no one can do this. Imagine a barbershop quartet, except this guy figured out a way to arrange and sing all 4 parts by himself. This is talent, and Bobby McFerrin took it places. He is almost certainly the first jazz vocalist in history to go on tour without a band, backup singers, or instruments. When you are such a phenomenally amazing singer that you can go on tour as an a cappella group of 1, you've truly accomplished something. So even before the big hit, he was a major figure in the jazz world, playing with artists like Herbie Hancock. The big question for me, though, is how Bobby McFerrin wound up going pop. Where did that transition happen? I'm still honestly not sure. I do know that in the mid-'80s, he won a bunch of jazz Grammys. Yeah, that's an acceptance speech right there. In 1987, he did the theme for season 4 of The Cosby Show, and shortly after that, he started work on what was just supposed to be an album of a cappella cover songs. But he also had this one little other melody kicking around in his head. And he turned that into a song too. That song was...
Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to sing it note for note. Don't
I might. Or I might not. We'll see. Don't Worry Be Happy was just a little song Bobby wrote that he had no way of knowing would get big. The phrase itself comes from an Indian guru named Mayor Baba who had some popular posters in the 60s. McFerrin saw one of them and thought that was a cool, succinct philosophy, and he worked it into a song. When he finished it, his people shopped it around and got it appended to the mediocre Tom Cruise movie Cocktail, the same movie soundtrack that gave the world Kokomo, becoming an unholy pairing of #1 hit songs that critics about 10 years older than me absolutely despise. They also quickly put together a music video for it with professional clown Bill Irwin, that's Mr. Noodle from Sesame Street, and for some reason, Robin Williams, who just mugs for 3 straight minutes. Robin was extremely hot at the time, so maybe it was that celebrity endorsement that made it big, or maybe it's just the fact that it's one of the most insidious earworms of all time. But from there, this song took off into the stratosphere.
Don't worry, be happy.
McFerrin did the entire song himself, without instruments, so to date it is the only a cappella song to ever hit #1. Until they release Pitch Perfect 4, that record will probably stand. I forget when I learned that it was an a cappella song, but I do remember that I had to be told because I honestly didn't know. That groove sounds impressively full. He does manage to sound like a real full band with just finger snaps and his own voice. That's just me reacting to the basic facts of it. What do I think about the entire song? So the song is about philosophy, I guess.
In every life we have some trouble, but when you worry you make it double. Don't worry.
Whatever your problems are, worrying doesn't help. It makes them worse, right? And Bobby does not shy away from the problems either.
Ain't got no place to lay your head. Somebody came and took your bed.
See, you could be broke, lonely, about to be homeless.
The landlord say your rent is late. He may have to litigate.
Bobby has the solution.
Don't worry. Be happy.
Don't worry, be happy now. I mean, worry's a wasted emotion, right? It isn't gonna help anything. Just be happy. Be happy. I got a comment from someone that said that for a whole lot of these episodes, I say things like, well, this song could only have come out in whatever year it came out in. I'm not sure I can say that for Don't Worry, Be Happy. I mean, yes, it certainly has that over-polished late 80s sound to it, and it must have captured something of the vibe of 1988. I mean, George H.W. Bush tried to use it as a campaign song that year, which blows my mind. Imagine any politician in the last 20 years trying to use Don't Worry, Be Happy as a campaign slogan. They'd do worse than Kanye. But George Bush did it in 1988, and he won in a landslide. Unimaginable now.
Ain't got no cash, ain't got no style.
But still, I wouldn't really say this sounds like an 80s song. It doesn't sound like a song from any time, really. It sounds ancient, like a nursery rhyme handed down through the centuries. My parents grew up in a world without Don't Worry, Be Happy. I can't even imagine that. How could someone live in a world where this didn't exist? It's so basic. It sounds like cavemen wrote it.
Don't worry, be happy.
So in that sense, it doesn't surprise me that it was inspired by a spiritual guru. It's such a primeval, universal song. But on the other hand, I don't really sense a whole lot of spiritualism or New Age philosophy in Don't Worry, Be Happy. The Don't Worry, Be Happiness of this song does not really come from being one with the cosmos or inner peace. It's just so psychotically dippy that it seems baffled by the concept. Like, worry? What even is that? It's a philosophy so airheaded that it does kind of get on the nerves. And when people say they hate this song, they usually point to this line right here, where Bobby explains the reasoning behind his philosophy.
Cause when you worry, your face will frown, and that will bring everybody down. So don't worry, be happy.
Is this song a joke? It's a question that's floated around for a long time. Is this, in fact, satire? It could be. I mean, he's doing the entire song in a kind of comedy accent.
Look at me, I'm happy.
And not even a Jamaican accent, like I and most people thought. He says he was trying for like a Hispanic accent of some kind.
I give you my phone number. When you worry, call me. I make you happy.
I kind of hear it.
We don't need no stinking budget.
So clearly, there's no way he meant that seriously, right?
And that will bring everybody down.
Be happy so you don't harsh everyone else's buzz? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm about to get thrown out of my house if you hadn't noticed. Sorry if I'm bringing you down. So no, I don't think a person writes something like that seriously, but that doesn't make it satire. It just means it's lighthearted. It just seems like satire because otherwise it just sounds straight up insane. It goes so far beyond happy that there's something just disturbingly cultish and unreal about it. 2 years ago, I was just sitting in my house, randomly listening to music, and this song came on. This was April of 2020, right at the beginning of the lockdowns. And there I was, locked in my New York apartment in the worst, most unprecedentedly disruptive catastrophe of my lifetime. I hadn't seen a single person in weeks. And there was Bobby McFerrin telling me to don't worry, be happy.
Don't worry. Be happy.
And I swear to God, I started to see through time. My vision started warping. Sounds started echoing. I thought I was losing my mind. I mean, that's just the crazy duality of this song. A friend of mine told me that she'll always have fond memories of this song because she first heard it as a little kid on a trip to Disney World. And me personally, honestly, I have been pretty stressed out lately.
The landlord say your rent is late.
My landlord is raising my rent. And honestly, listening to this song did kind of mellow me out. But man, when this song hits you wrong, it hits you wrong. Like, don't worry, be happy?
Don't worry. Be happy.
What the fuck did you just say to me? What the fuck did you just say? Say that shit again, asshole! Say that shit to my fucking face! So I get why some people hate it. I can't get there though. I wouldn't necessarily say I like it either, but I do respect it. The same way I respect any song that so perfectly captures a basic mood or idea better than any other song ever will. You know what I mean, songs like Let's Get It On, I'm Too Sexy, We Are the Champions. Songs that you can't even use in movies because they're too on the nose. Like there will never, ever be a song about not worrying and be happying like Don't Worry, Be Happy. Happy by Pharrell, little too happy. The Lazy song, little too lazy. Hakuna Matata, now that song's just way all over the place. None of them really capture the total unstressedness that Bobby McFerrin discovered. It tapped a deep, powerful, universal beat that no one will ever top ever again. Certainly not Bobby McFerrin, who ran as far from this song as he could.
And the song of the year is, come back, Bobby. Don't worry, be happy. Bobby McFerrin.
This beat Tracy Chapman's Fast Car that year. Amazing. So, Bobby McFerrin is now a widely respected virtuoso musician, a Grammy-winning pop star with a #1 smash hit. He is on top of the world. Or is he?
What are we gonna do about it? I'm trying to think of a sequel to Don't Worry, Baby.
By 1989, McFerrin was in such a weird place in his career that I actually am not sure what his second song was. According to some websites, his next single, as in literally his next pressed on vinyl single, was a live track from the previous album.
Oh baby, I'm thinking about your body. Oh baby, I'm thinking about your face.
I do think it's cool that he can sing alone and somehow be his own backup singers and rhythm section. And he ad-libbed some impressive stuff here, but I really can't imagine radio stations ever playing this. But from his current album at the time, I think his follow-up was a cover song. The song is Good Lovin' by the Rascals. In fact, a good half of the album is 60s covers, so if you want to hear him do Cream's Sunshine of Your Love or the Beatles' Drive My Car, there they are. But anyway, here's this cover.
1, 2, 3.
You know, I've watched a fair bit of acapella in my day, and in my opinion, acapella covers only really work as a live performance. It's a cool trick, but it's not something to just listen to. That's just my opinion. No offense to pentatonics or anything, but unless you're making original music, I don't really see the point of studio acapella covers, and it seems like the general public didn't either. One last song called Drive. This one is an original.
I'm gonna get in my car. Drive away. Drive so far.
He does kind of sound like if the sound effects guy from Police Academy could sing, which is neat. I think Bobby's very proud of this one, but trying to make it a hit with the public, it seems like a hard sell to me. McFerrin is simply too unique for the pop charts. Even with African singing kind of crossing over to pop, it didn't sound like this. There was just nothing that sounded like this. Naturally, it didn't catch hold. McFerrin's biggest hit after his first was probably his commercials for Levi's and Ocean Spray.
So tangy. So crisp.
Make that money. The backlash to Don't Worry Be Happy probably didn't help either. In fact, just a year after Don't Worry Be Happy, Public Enemy wrote their all-time anthem, Fight the Power, where they said this.
Don't worry, be happy was a #1 jam. Damn if I said you can slap me right here.
Did you ever notice that line doesn't even rhyme with anything? Chuck D just straight up stopped rapping in the middle of his song because he hated Don't Worry Be Happy so much.
Damn if I said you can slap me right here.
That one lyric probably slayed the song's reputation for good. And the thing is, I think Bobby probably agreed with it. In 1990, he released his follow-up album, Medicine Music, and he made damn sure that there was not going to be any Don't Worry Be Happy on that shit.
There in need and there was good. There in the garden where the tree of life stood.
This is a much less pop, more avant-garde, new age kind of record, so don't expect any more Robin Williams or MTV play from here on out. I did find an old article where one of his higher-ups complained that he had that one fluke track, but his core audience is only 300,000 to 400,000 jazz freaks. And they did really try to sell this record. They tried hyping him up on VH1. I think they had some kind of vague hopes of selling him to the early 90s easy listening and jazz pop crowd that liked Sting and Kenny G and Enya, but it did not happen. Bobby McFerrin's follow-up to his Grammy-winning platinum smash hit only got as high as 146. And from there, Bobby McFerrin checks out of popular music completely. Yes, he did. Plenty. Feel like I have to say that right away because in the early 90s, and I do remember this, there was a rumor that McFerrin had actually killed himself. It wasn't true, but it spread everywhere because for some reason the irony was just too funny to people. Many years later, one of the video's stars actually did kill himself. Didn't see anyone making jokes about that, probably because everyone realized that shit's actually not funny at all. Fucking assholes. But it is true that maybe McFerrin wasn't really so happy about Don't Worry Be Happy. Like, you thought it was annoying. Imagine being the guy who made it, especially when he's a serious composer. So McFerrin completely abandoned it. In 1990, he became conductor of the San Francisco Symphony, and from that moment on, he's basically been a conductor full-time, in between recording records with other jazz stars like Chick Corea or Esperanza Spalding and classical stars like Yo-Yo Ma. And that's a little outside of the scope of what I'm qualified to comment on, but from what I can tell, he's very well respected. If you watch PBS, you've probably seen him pop up more than once. By the standards of the highbrow musical arts, he seems to be something of an A-lister. Crazy to think that this guy was once a big, major mainstream name who could make guest appearances on kids' shows and stuff. He also keeps putting out his own a cappella stuff, and yeah, even as someone who knows very little about vocal arrangement, I gotta admit this is pretty cool sounding. As for his one hit, I remember seeing an old Where Are They Now type show where he admitted that he got really sick of his big #1 single and just stopped performing it entirely.
Got to the point where I couldn't sing it anymore, and I haven't in about 10 or 11 years.
And it seemed like for decades he's kept that up. But believe it or not, I found some very recent footage of him actually performing the song again.
Don't worry, be happy.
So I think he's learned to not worry and be happy about his little place in pop culture history.
I don't remember the verses to this song. I wrote it so long ago. Don't worry, be happy.
Deserve better? You know, that's a funny question. He's probably the only person I've ever covered on here who might wish that he had less hits. Bobby McFerrin has so many great accomplishments outside the world of mainstream pop. I'm sure he made a lot of money off of this song, but he probably didn't need it. But even if he didn't need it, the world did. Understandably, he seems to have a pretty awkward relationship to the song that made him a star, but for better or worse, that song is probably going to outlive him and all of us and our kids and grandkids. Love or hate, Don't Worry, Be Happy, there will never be another song like it. So I say we just go with the flow. I mean, why bring everybody down?
I'm not worried.
And while I have a moment, can I talk to you about Audible? Now, I read a lot of books for the extensive research I do for all these episodes, and if, like me, you're too busy or too scatterbrained to look at written words, there's no better solution than Audible.com. They have thousands of titles and podcasts on every topic, like this audiobook of Dave Grohl's The Storyteller, read by Dave himself. And best of all, new members get to try it for 30 days for free. As an Audible member, you can choose one title a month to keep from their entire catalog, including the latest bestsellers and new releases. And you'll discover exclusive Audible originals from top celebrities, renowned experts, and exciting new voices in audio. Audible also includes thousands of podcasts from popular favorites to exclusive new series. Members also get full access to a growing selection of included audiobooks, audio originals, and podcasts. You can download or stream their included titles all you want. The Audible app makes it easy to listen anytime, anywhere. While traveling, working out, walking, doing chores, you decide. To try it out for yourself, visit audible.com/ToddInTheShadows or text Todd in the Shadows to 500-500. Click now. Thank you and good night.
Here's a song Bobby McFerrin wrote. You might want to sing it note for note.